Good evening. Welcome to another lesson in Derech HaShem, the way of God. We're on page 99, and tonight's lesson is called Punishments. Really exciting lesson, very life-changing. So please join me inside, page 99, in the way of God. Paragraph 4. In his mercy, God maximized man's chances of successfully attaining his ultimate goal. What a wonderful sentence. Did you hear that? You hear that sentence? Wow, I'd like to hear the rest of this paragraph. In God's mercy to mankind, HaShem wants to maximize our chances of success. Doesn't it sound like this is going to be something really, really good? You want your children to succeed. You want to maximize their chances of success. Okay, get ready. How are we going to maximize our chances for success? He therefore decreed that there should be another type of purification for those who could benefit from it. This was intended for those who have been surmounted by evil, but not to such a great extent that they should be utterly annihilated. As we'll see, there is such a concept of truly wicked people that are utterly annihilated, so forget about them. They're to be destroyed forever. They lost their connection to God forever. But for regular people like you and me, where we're basically good people, we want to be close to Hashem, Hashem maximized our chances for successfully attaining our ultimate goal. How did he maximize it? By making a whole system of purifying anything we're missing. It's like if you miss a day of school, there's a makeup course. You just have to go to the makeup course. And you can, whatever you're missing, you'll get through it. Isn't that amazing? You want your child to succeed in the course he's going through. Everything possible. And even when you mess up, we'll get you back on. So how does this work? Next paragraph. This purification, what is purification? What does it mean? It includes a number of spiritual punishments. Now, first, we're going to discuss in this paragraph 4, we're going to talk about punishments as the concept that we all know too well of you don't behave, you're going to get it. It's the concept of I said do this, you didn't listen, that's it, you deserve a punishment. We're going to talk about that first, but we're going to deal on a deeper level soon of what punishment really means. But for the beginning, purification of punishments, the most prominent being that of Gehenna, or purgatory. This is core Jewish belief that Gehenna, the purgatory, the place that we go to after death, is not a bad thing. As he said, this is from God's mercy. It's in the context of loving kindness. All punishments, all difficulties, all yisurim, it's all from God's love to mankind that we should succeed. In the footnote 7, Rabbi Kaplan brings extensive sources from our oral Torah about Gehenna. I always wondered about the non-Jews, or secular Jews. They don't learn the oral Torah. Where do they get their ideas from? This is what's going to happen. How do you know? We have an extensive account of exactly what happens in Gehenna. Not every detail, but extensive. And in this footnote 7, he quotes a number of authorities just to have a basic understanding. What is this pain of hell, of Gehenna? What is it exactly? A number of authorities identify the spiritual fire of Gehenna. It's spiritual, something we don't relate to. But a concept that we could relate to is similar to the shame that a person experiences as a result of his sins when standing in God's presence in the world of souls. Imagine yourself, a person messes up and he gets caught and front public humiliation. Can you imagine that feeling? You blew it. You got caught with your pants down. Oh my goodness, that hurts. That's what we're talking. We're not talking about you're gonna boom, kaboom, you're bad. You're gonna. It's the fact is, look what you could and you messed up. It's shame. It's a shame. That's the fire we're referring to, spiritual fire. And how does it work? How does the purification? Well, let's read this paragraph. It will change your life of how to look at difficulties in life. The purpose of these punishments is to penalize the individual for his sins in such a way that he is subsequently free of any liability for the evil that he may have done. Meaning after this punishment, whatever it is done without yet understanding how it works. But the goal of the punishment is correction. The goal of the punishment is purity. When the punishment is over, you're now a higher level being. What it is, how it works, we'll leave that aside for now. But first get the goal. It's not you were bad, you're going to get it. It's you missed out. I love you. I don't want you to miss out. I'm going to give you a second chance. We're going to get rid of all the stuff that's messing you up and get you back onto the program. It could be those are painful. It's like the detox center. You missed out on school because you've been doing drugs. So we're going to get it out of your system. Getting it out's going to hurt. You'll go into withdrawal, but then you're going to come back into school and we'll accept you. What a wonderful school that is. After I messed up, I went onto drugs, you're still going to let me back in? Wow. Aren't they wonderful? So that's what HaShem does. He helps us through the program so we'll get back into school and be successful. It's pure love and mercy. As a result, he can then receive the true reward for his good deeds. Afterwards, we can go back into school. We can accomplish and become great. Because of this, the number of people who are actually, because of this love, this mercy that God created, the concept of punishment, therefore, the actual people that are annihilated, that will never have the eternal bliss of a close, loving relationship with HaShem, is small and insignificant. It's very rare. Purely wicked people, it's very rare. It only consists of those who are dominated by evil so completely that it is utterly impossible for them to have any chance of experiencing the true reward and everlasting delight. Such people, they're so gone. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to save them. No way to get them back to be healthy. So those are rare, but the concept in general is a good thing. That's the main point.
So we all go to Gehenna to begin with.
In the afterworld, we're not even.
Afterworld.
That's one. We're talking also about in this world, difficulties in this world. It's also the next world, also Gehenna before we get to the eternal bliss. But also suffering in this world is to get people back on track to get out the impurities.
Okay.
Just to know that in general, how it works, we'll see. We therefore see that man's judgment, what you just brought out now, it's divided into 3 stages. There's 3 parts to this punishment. There's his main judgment in the future world that will exist after the resurrection, as discussed earlier. That's the goal. That's where we're going to be forever. We'll have to go through Gehenna. There's the judgment that will bring us to our eternal bliss. There are also deeds that are judged before this. However, and of these, some are recompensed in this world and others in the soul world. There's 3 stages. There's what happens in this world, what happens in this medium. There's a separate stage. When a person leaves this world, he doesn't go to the world to come. The Ramchal explains that this is an argument in Jewish philosophy. The Maimonides argues on this, but this is the accepted opinion that there's 3 stages. There's this world, there's the world of souls, which means after we leave this world, there's this gray area where the soul goes, and there's the world to come, which is when we come back after the resurrection with a body. It won't be like this body now. This body, no disrespect, is like a caterpillar. Compared to the body you will have, you're going to be so beautiful. It'll be a butterfly. That's what it's compared to. That's Tchias HaBeis. In the resurrection, we'll be with a body, but nothing compared to this body we have now. It'll be so much greater, so much more beautiful. And those are the 3 stages of life. There's this world, the soul world, and the afterlife, the world to come, we call it. So in each stage, there's preparation for that stage. The details of man's judgment, however, are not known to anyone. What an important principle. We have to realize there's certain things that we just can't get. But in Judaism, when they say now so beautiful, other religions say like, we don't understand. We're not like that. We understand exactly what we don't understand and why we don't understand it. There's a big difference. We can't understand the details. Anyone other than God, who is the true judge, he is the only one who knows the true nature and results of all deeds on every level. Deeds have an effect on every level and each detail. He therefore knows which should be recompensed in each particular period and manner. All that we therefore know, it's not that we know nothing. We have a general picture. We know the general nature and basis of this process. We know that it ultimately revolves around one basic principle, which is beautiful, which is good. You know what the basic principle is? Namely, the gathering of righteous people, a community of the righteous people from all history, that they should be with God. In order for this community to be appropriately perfected, all these provisions are necessary to prepare and ready the ultimate situation. I want to give you a parable to relate to what we're saying here, what we can understand and what we can't understand. With a life experience, I went through stage 4 cancer around 4.5, 5 years ago. And how do they deal with it? How do they deal with this illness? So I went through 3 stages. The first stage was a whole week of chemotherapy. You know what that was for? I don't know what they did. I don't know what the chemicals were, but I know what it accomplished. What it accomplished was it stopped the cancer from growing. The growth was stage 4. They had to stop it. So they did, whether they should, whether if that's the right thing or not, I'm just telling you what they did. The plan was stop the growth. I trusted the doctors who are total experts. Now there you could check in, you could find out, but there's a level that most patients have of trust. The doctors know what they're doing. I found out these were expert doctors, and they did this stage of blocking the growth. The second stage was the 6 weeks of radiation. What was that for? That was to destroy what was there. They burnt and destroyed the growth at all parts. They isolated it. Now, the wisdom in how they did that blows your mind. There's no way I could comprehend it. You have to go to school for years. They isolated how they do the rays, how these machines work. I have no clue. It's a wisdom way beyond my ability to understand according to who I am. But I trusted these doctors and nurses. They know what they're doing. The third stage, unfortunately, the oncologists don't know how to do this, but HaShem blessed me with the angel of life, which I strongly recommend to anybody suffering from severe illness. Be in touch with the Saferstein Research in Chicago. It's called From Cancer to Health. And this is a program of getting a person back to a healthy way of life, which was the main point, because all these treatments never dealt with the issue. They stopped it from growing, destroyed it from existing, but why did it come to begin with? They don't know. Well, they don't know, but others do know. And Saferstein Research helped me to rebuild my metabolism, to be strong, the immune system, all these things, which I don't understand either. I looked into it a little bit, but all the research, 25 years of research, has a whole program. You do this, it will prevent the cancer from coming back. So this I'm giving you as an example of stages of dealing with an illness, which each one has tremendous wisdom, way beyond my comprehension. These people could know it. And now here, it's theoretically possible that I could study and understand most or all of what they're saying. But at the end of the day, to a large extent, I completely relied on their expertise. This is an exact parable of all suffering that HaShem brings in the world. It's not a vindictive, zealot, destruction with this, you didn't listen to me, you're going to get it, bam. No. It's with pure love. It's my child. You're hurting yourself. I need to make you healthy. First, we're going to stop the illness. We have to stop it from growing. Then we're going to get rid of it. And then we're going to make you healthy. And there's stages. How each stage works, so we don't know. We trust HaShem, but we know in general. We know in general what's going on. Things are happening, and we know what the goal is. The attitude towards suffering is so different now. We are taught in Jewish faith, when we have pain and suffering, we thank HaShem for it. We don't say, HaShem, why'd you do this to me? That's not the Jewish attitude. We look, we try to see how we can change our life. Let me just give you an example. After my cancer, I did the same thing in my life. I realized that what happened to me was a wake-up call for HaShem. Illness doesn't happen in a vacuum. and I took these 3 stages in my own life. I stopped the place where I was in my life, like the radiation, like the chemotherapy did. I stopped what I was doing and recalculated my entire life. And then I found what was wrong in my life, and I did the radiation on myself. I got it out. I was acting in a large extent like a robot. That's what I found in myself. That's a sickness. And I stopped that. Let's recalculate and start to be real about ourselves. And that's when I started a new program of eating healthy, like physically. I started spiritually, of being healthy in my spiritual activities. Be real, understand what you're doing, which is all these lessons I'm doing now of pleasant and purposeful, and how thankful I am to HaShem for the difficulties I went through to help make me much healthier. HaShem should help me continue to be healthy. I shouldn't have to go through such difficulties. But that's the purpose of punishment. It's to help you physically and spiritually become healthy. Now, we're going to read now a most incredible, whatever we said until now was just on a level of looking at sin as you're bad, and there's something bad here. But let's see the depth of it. It's so, so beautiful. Paragraph 6. Before that, paragraph 6 is before that. There still are some people, however, who are absolutely wicked. We have to deal with this. Spoke about this a few times last week. There are, sadly, I've encountered people like this. There are, sadly, purely wicked people in the world. As a result of their deeds, they weren't created wicked. That's heresy. We believe fully every human being had free choice. These people chose to be completely wicked, and they are, through their deeds, as a result of their deeds, and have incorporated in themselves such great darkness and insensitivity that their bodies and souls are actually corrupted. And these people, you can see, you talk to them, it doesn't register. They're so blocked, such hatred and hurtfulness towards others. They are completely evil, completely godless. They are therefore unfit to become drawn close to God in any manner whatsoever. They're beyond. They made themselves like a drug addict. They're just too addicted. Sometimes there's just no hope for them. There's nothing any detox center could do. They're beyond repair. It's very sad. It is possible, nevertheless, that even such people should have some good deeds. What's going to be with that? You have really evil people, but at the end of the day, they did a few good deeds here and there. So what's going to be with that? So they deserve some connection to HaShem, but they're so evil. When placed on God's honest balance, this is an attribute of God, being godly. When you have somebody purely evil, but he has a little bit here and there of good deeds, these deeds cannot bring the individual to the side of true good. I'm sorry. However, you did a few good things, it's not enough, neither by virtue of their quality or quantity. In such a case, we can't know this. God knows this. If his deeds could so balance him, then this individual is absolutely wicked. If he had enough good deeds that would save him, so HaShem would put him through the process, it would be painful, and eventually he'd come back to become a godly person like the rest of us. But if he can't, what would be counted among those who are continually purified until they reach a state suitable for the ultimate good? Still, if these good deeds were totally unrewarded, so he has a few good deeds, not enough to save him. If they could, it would. They can't. So, but what are we going to do about it? He has some good deeds. The attribute of justice would be flawed. We can't allow this wicked person to not get anything for the goodness that he did good things. They have to get some manifestation. It was therefore decreed that these good deeds be rewarded in this world. As discussed earlier, this is the concept of wicked people having successful life. The evil are blossoming and flourishing. You know what that is, that flourishing? It's the few good deeds that they did having they're rewarded in this world so that they should have nothing in the afterlife. That's what it is. It's little things that they did are bringing them happiness and success in this world. It's, as we say in the verse, Lihishamdam adayad. So they should have eternal destruction because they are so ungodly, they cannot have eternal bliss with God, with the rest of humanity. So HaShem is giving them whatever good they deserve in this world. Their merit is therefore used up and does not have any effect in incorporating true excellence in such an individual. That's the principle of a wicked person having good in this world. Now, let's go to paragraph 7. Absolutely incredible. This principle contains another important concept. In the perfected community of the ultimate future, not everyone will attain the same level. I'm sorry, we skipped. I knew there was another paragraph. I apologize. We skipped paragraph 5.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. This is what I really wanted to talk about. Paragraph 5. Where did it go? I'm sorry. Back to paragraph 5 on page 101. This is what I wanted to bring out, the depth of punishment. Until now, we spoke about punishment as, you naughty boy, you didn't listen to HaShem. Now let's look at the depth of what true life is. Looking into this more deeply, we see that besides the fact that this is required by fairness and justice, even on that level itself, if you were good or bad, you listened or didn't listen, that itself, it makes sense what we said about punishment. It is also based on the essential concept of man. What is a human being? What is life? All the concept of punishment and reward fits exactly with what is a human being and what is life. How so? We have already discussed how good deeds incorporate an intrinsic quality of perfection and excellence into man's body and soul. When we talk about HaShem says, do this, it's not just stand on your head and spit wooden nickels. He's telling you to do something to bring, every mitzvah is bringing godliness and bringing HaShem into your life. It's making yourself a more godly, exalted being. That's what it is. Besides for listening and being good that you listened, you're also bringing yourself to a level of excellence, a level of perfection. Evil deeds, the definition of a sin is, on the other hand, they incorporate in him a quality of insensitivity and deficiency. It's an illness. Sin is an illness. You're bringing selfishness, the lack of godliness. You are now less perfect, less godly, all with a precise measure depending on the deeds, no more and no less. The deed itself, which is affected by how much thought you have in the deed, how much feeling, how much joy you have in it. There's many factors that define what you do. But every deed that you do, whether it's good or bad, is affecting you. It's making you more or less godly with your deeds. Therefore, the righteous man may attain in himself a large measure of brilliance and excellence. You have a righteous man. He's doing loads of righteous deeds. So he's making himself holier and holier, more and more godly, closer to HaShem in his life. He's brilliant. He's actually shining. Excellent. Yet, on the other hand, because of the minority of evil deeds that he has done, we all have, once in a while, we mess up. So those things that we mess up, they're not swept under the rug. They also have an effect. They brought darkness. They brought lack of godliness into our life. There is in him an admixture of darkness and repugnance. What are we going to do about that? What about that illness, that darkness? There's darkness. Besides for the light of the good deeds, there's darkness from the bad deeds. As long as he still has this admixture, he is neither prepared nor suited to become drawn close to God. We got to get rid of that. The same way you go to the toilet before you pray. You got to get rid of the impurities out of your system if you want to be close to God and be holy. The highest mercy, this is from pure love, therefore decreed that some sort of purification exists. It's not a joke. It's not you were bad, you're going to get it. This is the general category of suffering. Suffering is getting out the impurity so we can be close to God. You understand? Every concept of purity, suffering, that's why the concept of somebody else suffering for you is absolutely ridiculous. It's like saying I have cancer and my mother would go to the oncologist and cry, "No, it's hurting him. Do your chemotherapy on me instead." Isn't that stupid? It's absolutely insanity. Theologies that the world have, because it's not understanding sin. They think sin is you're bad. You have a debt to pay, a debt to society. You got to do your time. Even there, imagine a mother saying, "My son was convicted of murder. but he has his life to live. Put me in jail instead for 25 years. Let him go out again. What insanity is that? It's absolutely ridiculous. Nobody can atone for your sin. A sin means you're not godly. It has to be fixed. If you have heroin in your body, it won't help to put somebody else in the detox center. It's being stupid. There's a real concept of sin. It had an effect, and the punishment is the cure. It's fixing a problem. God gave suffering the power to dispel the insensitivity in man. Somehow, maybe we don't, we understand, maybe we don't, but we trust our oncologist. God knows what he's doing. And through this illness, it's taking out, through the suffering, it takes out the illness, allowing him to become pure and clear, prepared for the ultimate good at its appointed time. The amount of suffering needed to purify the individual would then depend on the amount of insensitivity he has acquired as a result of his deeds. How much suffering? What exact? Only the top doctor can know that. In many cases, it is possible that physical suffering alone will not have the power to dispel the insensitivity. And in such cases, spiritual purification in the soul world is not enough. He has to suffer in what we call Gehenna in the soul world. Is also necessary. The details involved in this are so numerous that the particulars are beyond the grasp of the human intellect. But again, that was the parable I was telling you. The human intellect can't get all the details. So I don't know the specific mixture of chemotherapy I was given. I don't get the cocktail. But I know what was going on. They were poisoning the cancer. And similarly, we have clarity in the different processes that are happening. Go to your Torah scholar, he'll tell you, in general, we have throughout the Torah, in general, why does this problem happen in your life? Why is this sickness happening in your life? We always do that. And there's some general understanding you need to change. First, we'll get rid of the illness, humility, getting closer to HaShem, and then we're going to prevent it from happening again. Those are stages that you have to go through to be a healthy, godly person. Paragraph 6 we did already. Sorry for going out of order. Now we're up to paragraph 7. This principle contains another important concept in the perfected community. We're talking about the world to come, the perfected community of the ultimate future. So you think, well, either you are or you aren't. It's like either you're a member, either you belong or you don't. It's not like that. Every person is different. No two human beings ever lived the exact same life, did the exact same deeds. That's impossible. We're all different. Not everyone will attain the same level. Everyone has a different level. The highest wisdom determined the lowest level upon which a person can exist. Maybe we can't relate to that. God knows. What's the minimum required that you'll make it to be part of this community of righteousness and still attain perfection and attachment of close, that you're able to be close to God. Purely wicked people can't. There's a cutoff mark somewhere. When an individual's deeds bring him up to the minimum level, he can then be a member of this perfected community and delight in God forever. That's what's called, you have a portion in the world to come. Like you say the Ashrei 3 times a day. You say, if you have this basic merits, some basic things have enough power in them to bring you to that purity of the lowest level of the world to come. One who does not attain this minimum level, on the other hand, is destined to be cast aside completely and annihilated. He can never connect to God. He's not godly. He's evil. Nevertheless, even within this community, different levels exist. The greater one's merit, the higher the level he will attain within the community. Every person, there's infinite levels, every one according to who you are. God's plan was that man himself should be the complete master of his own good. Who's in charge over here? It's us. It's us with our decisions. We choose good or bad, both in general and in particular. In general, man can therefore not attain good unless he achieves it through his own efforts. What we do matters. We make our own destiny. Choose good. This is also true, however, of each element of this good, which is only meted out according to the individual's precise deeds. Each individual's ultimate level is therefore the result of his own choice and attainment. the members of the perfected community, which we're all part of, we hope, will be part of the everlasting bliss with the God in the perfected community, will therefore be divided into many levels. We're not all the same place. There's levels, high and low, great and small. Each individual's level will not be the result of anything other than his own choice. And no one, therefore, will have any complaint against another. No one can say, well, how come he got more? Because he accomplished more. That's why he had more. I don't really understand this, just leaving you. I have a question on this. Why can't there be a complaint that he's on a higher level because he had more abilities? He lived longer. He was given more. I mean, we were not all created equal. Some people were given, they were born into a family where he lived a more righteous life. There are factors that is a low fair. It's not fair. And I don't understand why. I mean, he's saying there's no complaint that he has because it's through his choice. But why isn't there complaint? How come they lived long life? They were created with this ability. I don't understand the answer to that. He says there won't be complaints. I don't understand why not. Paragraph 8. This principle contains another important concept involving how one's deeds are judged to correctly ascertain their effect in determining his level in the perfected community. How is it decided what level you're at? Every deed is judged as to whether or not it should benefit the individual's status in this community, as well as the extent in which it should do so. Every single deed is scrutinized. How good is it? What was your intent? What was your feelings? What was your thoughts? Well, every deed is scrutinized, and each deed has an effect. There will therefore be certain deeds which, according to the fair and precise highest judgment, should not provide the individual any benefit whatsoever in the ultimate future, but should rather be rewarded in this world. Did you know that? There are some deeds, good or bad, that are totally, completely dealt with in this world. They have nothing to do with the world to come. Isn't that a fascinating concept? An individual whose deeds are judged in this manner will receive the reward for his deeds in this world, and then remain in a permanently inferior state. That's sad. As we spoke about before, about the wicked, we're now explaining how the wickedness works. They'll be repaid for their good deeds in the world, since they can't connect to God. So their good deeds will be completely rewarded in this world. They'll be in a permanently. This is even not wicked. A person who's permanently in a lower perfected community. In some aspects, this is very much like the case of those who are completely rewarded in this world, like the totally wicked, and then annihilated in the world to come. There's, however, a great difference between the two. He's saying there's two kinds of people. There's the totally wicked. They get their whole reward in this world, and afterwards it's total destruction, totally annihilated. And then there's the people that are very little. And for them, they'll get some reward for their deeds in this world, but in the world to come, they'll be at low level. What's the difference between the two? In the case of the absolutely wicked discussed earlier, the benefit of their deeds is completely used up through the reward in this world, and they therefore do not experience eternal life at all. The class that we are now discussing, on the other hand, does attain eternity through their deeds. We're talking about righteous people. They will have a portion in the world to come. Even though they may require great spiritual purification, they might have to go through Gehenna to purify them 11 or 12 months in Gehenna, they nevertheless retain a portion in this eternal existence. After they go through the purification process, they'll be in eternal bliss at a certain level. Because of the spiritual damage caused by their sin, there was irreparable damage. As I was told after the cancer, I'll never hear, smell, or taste, or my saliva will never be the same. My ear, nose, and throat and I was told that's the price of living. There was irreparable damage, and sin can cause irreparable damage. Here, even though they're alive forever, but there is damage from their sins that will affect their level in the world to come. Because of the spiritual damage caused by the sins, however, the only thing their good deeds can attain for them is the minimal level mentioned earlier. There's levels. Because of the sin, it's not enough to destroy them forever, but it is enough to prevent them from getting into a higher level, which is sad. Won't we be in a higher level, eternal bliss? A great portion of their merit, however, is rewarded in this world. Because these people had such a level of sin, not the level of total annihilation, a level that met much of their good deeds were taken care of in this world, and they're going to be on a low level of eternity. This is so even though these individuals' deeds would normally result in them having a higher level in the perfected community. They would have. They did enough deeds they should have had. But because of their evil, it took away. The fact that they are judged to be rewarded in this world prevents them from attaining this level. According to everything discussed, what we accomplished in this chapter, this discussion, in this section, we can understand why the righteous suffer. Now we get it. The suffering is purposeful. It's pleasant. It might be hurtful, but it's all in the context of close, loving relationship. And we understand the wicked prosper. It's for the purpose of making accomplishment in the world. The wicked have to prosper. They have to because they did some good deeds, they're going to have some good, but it's lishamdam, it's for total destruction. In addition, we see how spiritual punishments are also part of the preparation for the ultimate true reward. Major accomplishments in this chapter. The good that the righteous attain in this world, however, involves a completely different concept. There's one concept we didn't yet explain, which is the good that a righteous person gets in this world. We didn't explain that yet. Why would a righteous person get good in this world? You would think that that's the easiest understood. Ramachal says that we had this whole chapter, we don't get that yet. And this will be discussed presently in the next chapter. Everything we have discussed in this chapter deals with the second aspect discussed in the chapter's beginning, namely the preparation of humanity as a whole for the future world. That which involves individuals, however, entails a completely different approach. This will be the subject of the next chapter. And in the next chapter, we'll deal with this concept of a righteous person actually having good stuff in this world. Why would that ever be? A great question. And stay tuned. Tomorrow evening, we're going to go into individual providence and get to the bottom of these deep concepts in Jewish philosophy. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining.